Second class Adalin Charlene T from BSME 3 Charlie. In this video, I will be discussing about the material characteristics of auxiliary equipments. There are hundreds of equipments, machines, and devices on board ship. It is very important that they are in proper order to prevent damage and to have a smooth operation of the ship for sailing. In order to operate smoothly and safely, let us know the different types of repair that requires on vessel to sail. Maintenance of machinery and system on board ship requires disassembling and assembling of parts to repair, cleaning and overhauling the machinery purposes. To do these things or these operations, we have numbers of rules and regulations that must be followed. First, read the manual properly before starting the operation or before starting your work. You must know which parts will goes and sequence of inserting the parts. Keep the manual always with you or by your side, or ask your colleague for assistance to prevent any unnecessary things to include with your reassembling the machinery. Second is use base for parts. While overhauling the machinery, it is better to put some cardboard or brown cardboard on it to keep all the removed parts over it, and make sure all the parts are complete during the overhauling process. With this, you will be easily reassemble the machinery without losing any parts of it, and it will work smoothly as good. Next is keep note of markings. Many of the machinery come with marking for alignment during the assembly. So you will return all parts required or its normal torque or on its normal arrangement. Next is check the records. The previous records must check before overhauling the parts, especially bearing, bolts for under and oversize aspects, to make sure you put a right size of spare parts, because losing any parts or not equal size or not fit on the machinery, it will cause damage and bring it some injuries. And next is check for defects. Ensure that all the assembling parts and spare parts of the machinery are tested and does not have any damage or defects, to prevent any breakdown in the future. Next is keep check on the torque. Ensure that all the reassembled spare parts are tightened as per the torque in the manual of the machinery provided. Over and under torque can result in breaking or losing of the parts or the spare parts restarting the machinery. And those are the things that we must bear in mind while working and repairing the machinery or any equipment on board ship. Because making sure all the equipments, devices, or machineries on board ship will work softly, will working properly and smoothly is our priority for safe sailing of the vessel and not being delayed to our target time of travel. Also, to make sure the safety of the personnel on board ship and the safety of the vessel as well. That's why we really work properly in line of our duties.
Need to loosen all the attachments first. We also have to disconnect some electronic parts, mainly the thermocouples for the exhaust gas. Before we could take out the cylinder covers, we will need to dismantle the rocker arms, as well as the fuel injectors and its attachments. For each cylinder alone, we will already need to dismantle dozens of small parts, so we need to be very careful not to drop or lose any of them. As you can see, we collect all the dismantled parts for each cylinder in marked containers, so as not to mix parts with the other cylinders. The sheer number of small parts might seem intimidating, but for us engineers, we have studied this in school, and for the more experienced ones, we have done this many times over the years. Also, days before starting the overhaul, we have already reviewed the schematics and planned our course of action. The cylinder covers will then